welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, definitely go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below to join the family. As you can see, I'm finally sitting down and doing a video for you guys. I had some comments under my study with me video saying that you guys would like extra tips on how I study specifically, so without further ado, I'll get right into the video. So the first tip that I would give you guys is to go over your syllabus. On there, you're going to have your course description, your rules, how much each assignment is worth, and it will go into details. It'll let you know what important things are due and when it's due. I automatically do is once I get my syllabus, I transfer it over to my daily planner, and just so I'm on target with each thing, and that helps a lot because you're not just going through the course getting assigned stuff when your instructor tells it to you. You'll actually be already you've thought about it and you know that that's an assignment that you will be having in the future. Tip number 2 would be to read your textbook chapters the class prior to the lecture class. So what I mean by that is, like, say on your syllabus you see that you're going to be going over chapters 1 and 2 in your next class meeting. So the night before or a couple nights before, definitely just go through your chapters. I'm not telling you to go into depth or to start like making notes and stuff, which I do suggest as well, but at least skim over it just so you're familiar with the content, because when you're in class, the instructor is just going to be teaching. She's going to explain stuff, but you want to have a background knowledge of that you read it and it's not the first time that you heard it when she spoke it to the class. So definitely read over your textbook chapters before you get into class so you can already have an idea of what to expect. Tip number 3 is to do the learning objectives that are in the beginning of each chapter, which are the questions that they want you to answer as you go throughout the chapter, because that's what's most important, and they want you to pull out of the chapter when you're finished going over it. As you're going through your chapter, answer these questions down. Write them down in a notebook, or you can answer them in the book, whatever you prefer, but answer those questions because those are the main key points that your instructor will want you to know. Tip number 4 would be to also, once you're finished going through the chapter, you answered those learning objectives, is to answer the review questions. So once you're finished with the chapter, you'll get review questions, and with those questions, it's like a little quiz. You take them, and it kind of puts you more in the direction of what you should have pulled after reviewing that chapter. And those are super important because those are quiz questions that your instructor could possibly give you, and also those questions kind of give you a better understanding of what they're looking for, as in you pulling it from the text itself. So sometimes I'll read my chapters, I'll answer my objective questions, and then I'll get to the end of the book and it'll ask me a question of something that I read but I just didn't think it was important. I kind of just skimmed over it and it was a question that they asked me. So when I answer those questions at the end of the book, I go back in the chapter and it's like I pay attention to those things that I missed the first time. So the next tip that I would have for you guys is to print out your slides if your instructor gives them to you guys. Those instructors that are teaching by PowerPoint slides generally give you access to those slides. I highly suggest, if you have the time or the paper and you're able to go print those out. It's proven that you retain more information if you read along with it and kind of like go along with it versus trying to take notes or follow along in the book, because your instructor, she's going to just be teaching you the lesson. She's not going to know specifically, oh, what page you're on, so you can't stop her and ask her, oh, what page is this on, where is this at, and you're just taking away from the lecture. So I highly suggest printing out those slides if you're able to. It's a great investment. Like, go to the nearest library, bring a couple bucks, print them out, because those are going to be a lifesaver, because those are exactly what your instructor is reading from, and most of the time it's like the main points and it breaks down each thing of what you should know. So I would definitely suggest printing out the slides. The next tip I would suggest is to read your lectures on the way to class. If you commute in the car, you can plug it up over the aux or Bluetooth. It's able to do that, or you can simply just play it aloud on your phone. Or if you're on a campus and you're walking to class, they have mainly, you'll probably find your chapter for your book on YouTube. That's what I've been doing. What listening to those lectures are supposed to do is to help you review, refresh the content that you already went over. This is not, I don't suggest you just relying solely on just listening to these lectures and going into class and acing your quiz, because that's not going to happen. So, I mean, maybe, I don't know if you're like super auditorial learner, but for me, no. So what I do is I just drive. I may not be paying direct attention on that because obviously you're driving, but like listening to it subconsciously, you're gonna retain a lot more than what you actually think. Definitely listen to those if you have any free time, if you're cleaning around the house, if you're doing your makeup, or you know, getting ready in the mornings. Listen to those audio lectures because they help a ton. This next tip is really important to me, and I feel like it'll be super important to you guys if you are a first term nursing student, because I struggle with this. This is something that I had to adjust to. Next tip would be to learn to apply and not to just recite. Like in high school or, you know, just regular college, you kind of learn stuff to just be able to spit it back out. In nursing school, this is a career that you're using to heal people, you know, like you have to know how to apply them rather than just recite them, if that makes any sense. Because I can tell you a definition of something, but if I don't know what that definition applies to, how to take care of it, people that I'm referring to, then it's no use, because a lot of the questions that you get on your test, on your midterms or finals, are going to be applied questions. Like it's going to ask you if a diabetic came in and, you know, soda, etc., what would you, what would you prescribe to them, or what would you suggest? And it's going to have your answers. So you need to know what goes with what, not just what is that, because a lot of the times it'll give you a definition, but it won't tell you how to apply it. So that's probably like one of my biggest tips for first semester nursing students, because I know that's a huge, like, it's different, you know, it's definitely different. My next tip, with that in mind, my next tip is to write out your key terms. Key terms most of the time are important in nursing school, because a lot of the time it's it could be like symptoms or diseases, or, you know, anything, and a lot of the times you do need to know what those are, and there can be a lot of them. So what I suggest doing is breaking down the chapters within a couple days and just simply doing key terms. So me personally, I like to do note cards, because once I write them down, that's one way of me retaining the information, and then on my free time I can just flip through them and just refresh my memory. Now also, if you're not one of those people who like using note cards, you can just write it out, because when you write it out, your brain does retain the information better. So my next tip is to create study groups. Make relationships with your colleagues, simply because you guys are all doing the same thing, you're all there for the same reason, and you all want to succeed. So me personally, I do like to independent study. Most of my studying that I do is done by myself in my room, or I'll go here and there, whatever, but I mainly study by myself. But it's really good to make relationships with your colleagues and meet up, you know, prior to a test or a quiz, so you guys can kind of just shoot around what you guys retained from the chapters or whatever you guys covered. And a lot of the times, what your colleagues say may not be the most important thing that you pull from the chapter. So by sharing that with each other, you pick up on things that you probably didn't pick up before. Because with nursing, it's so broad. There's so many little things that that you're supposed to know. So it may not be important to you, or not the most important to you, but to your colleague who's taking the same exact class, pulled something different from that chapter. And so now they know what you knew and you know what they knew. And it's just good to have that relationship with about 2 or 3 people, simply because, like I said, nursing school and the stuff that you cover is very broad. There's a lot of things to it, and you're not gonna pull everything from a chapter. Like, maybe you're a super genius, but it's just a lot. So definitely make those relationships and help each other out. Last but not least, most importantly, my biggest tip for you guys would be to break down your chapters. Don't cram study, because in high school, I can relate to that. I used to study the night before or the morning before, wake up an hour earlier just to go over my chapters and pass my class. But you can't do that in nursing school. Like, I'm not gonna say you can't, because I'm sure there's some people out there who can, but I just wouldn't suggest it. The biggest tip that I could give any nursing student is manage your time wisely. There's so much that you have to learn, and there's so much going on that it's easy to feel like you have no time to do everything. But if you break down that chapter and you know when you're gonna have a test on it, when you're gonna have a quiz on it, if you break it out a week prior or 2 weeks prior, you're gonna feel less stressed and you're gonna be able to get more done. Alright guys, so that wraps up this video. I hope you found my tips helpful. If you guys are nursing students and you have tips that I didn't mention, definitely comment them down below, because I am a novice nursing student and I have so much more to learn. I love seeing you guys interact with me. Many of you guys follow me on Instagram and you guys message me. I love seeing that because it lets me know what you guys like to see in videos, and also I can kind of talk to you directly and get to know you guys, because you guys get to know me and I know you guys are amazing, and it's just nice to put a face to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe if you hadn't, and click that bell for notifications, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye!